I flipped my first house at 21 years old. I just spoke the language. I was always passionate about it, and I knew the product. I knew the market.
Agent Power Huddle is a daily jumpstart, giving you all the tools you need to create an amazing real estate career. Led by top experts in the field, you'll learn how to sell more houses in less time while creating the life you want. Welcome to the Agent Power Huddle.
Welcome to Agent Power Huddle. We've got a top agent interview today with Mr. Bobby Johnson, right? Who I love seeing that you got a surfboard in the back, because not only is he a luxury agent, but he's a surfer, and he's got a vibe that, as you hear a little bit about his story and what he does to generate business, I think it'll all tie together. So, Bobby, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah. How long have you been in real estate at this point?
Oh man, 1999. Yeah. So I've been in a little, I know a few things about a few things.
Definitely know a few things about things. And did you set out to become a luxury agent, or did that just happen along the way? Tell me the story.
Oh my gosh. When I got in this in 1999, there really wasn't such a thing, this area that we're in, you know a little bit about the 30A market and whatnot. We've spoke about it. I think it just kind of evolved into that over the past 10 years more than anything. I was selling lots for $25,000 in 1999 that are now going for close to $1 million.
And the people who don't know 30A, so we're in Florida. We're talking like Panama City. How do you describe to people? Do you call the people outside the area 30A? How do you describe the?
Well, it's kind of a designation. A lot of times people, it's a historic highway for one thing. It was, really probably got popular. Oh gosh, probably in the 70s. You got Destin over here, Panama City over here. Between those two, everyone, when I mention 30A, they don't know where I'm talking about. I might mention Seaside, where they filmed the Truman Show, and they'll get that, right? But when I mention 30A, I'll say Destin or Panama City. They go, oh yeah, and I'll say we're right in the middle of all that. So it's really just a 18-mile stretch of road that is literally surrounded by a state forest everywhere. Like, you got to see it on a map. It's pretty amazing. There's just not a lot of properties here. And I think that's it made the value just go up like crazy. And all along this road are these little communities, which we call PUDs, Planned Unit, New Urbanism, right? Seaside, Rosemary, Alice Beach, Kaya, Watersound, Watercolor. And they're all kind of unique in their own character. They're all their own separate market. But yeah, that's kind of how it evolved. It's really an interesting place.
Yeah, and so this is the panhandle of Florida, guys. Every time I think Florida, right, I forget how far the panhandle goes. And so as you're developing your career, did you target like all those little individual neighborhoods you talked about? Did you target and seek out to become an expert in different ones? Did that just happen? Like, tell me that part of it.
So no, because there wasn't a lot of them weren't there for starters. Okay. They've really kind of developed over the years as being an agent. And, I get bored a little easy. So, I had an opportunity. I started in this at St. Joe. And St. Joe was the big landholder in our area. They own more land in Florida than anyone, right? So they used to be in the paper mill business in Panama City. So when the old timers died off, the new timers decided to develop all of it. They own a lot of property. So I thought, what a great opportunity. Jump into it, go to business with St. Joe. I was with Arvida St. Joe. And of course, like real estate constantly changes. You never know what's going to happen, right? We're purchased by Coldwell Banker. So next thing I know, I was like, I didn't even know what a Coldwell Banker was. I just knew that it was going to be a great opportunity to be working with St. Joe. So I learned right away that I didn't want to be an in-house agent. I would get real bored sitting there. I just can't do that kind of stuff. So I decided that 30A and a little north would become my primary markets. I don't do a whole lot of anything else. I focus simply 30A. I do those communities a little bit each year in each of them. but it's not my like go-to specifically in one. And there are agents that just focus primary on one of those neighborhoods. I could never do that. I'd get too bored.
And knowing that you could never do that, I get too bored. I mean, so Bobby J, and how big is your team, Bobby? How many agents you have now at this point?
So currently, we really right now it's myself, my partner Stacy Petrucci, and then we have one buyer's agent, Missy Orman.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
fantastic. He's got a fantastic team, but it's just the three of them, and they're going to sell $70 million in real estate this year, right? So like,
yeah, last year we did. I think we did more like 100 last year. So yeah. Yeah.
Okay. It's a bit, who knows? Maybe it'll be another. We'll see if it's 100 million. But that's a lot of volume for three people to sell. You just said it. You get bored easily. It's so funny because some people we talk to, that they're very strategic, and you know that they're going to do this thing over and over. I've never gotten that vision from you, right? You're just like, I like to surf and I enjoy what I do and I like my clients, and like you have such a laid back, cool factor to you.
I appreciate that. I'll tell you a quick story about that. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but
go for it.
We'll go with what you're saying. So I had a chance to go back to Arvida St. Joe at one point and sell property in Arvida. And I was meeting with the broker, and, we're sitting there having lunch. And I said, so, do I have to, is there like something I have to wear? And she said, oh yeah, you have to wear this clothing. And I was looking at it. I said, well, strike one. I said, what about floor duty? Do I have to do floor? She said, oh yeah, you got to do floor duty. And I said, okay, strike two. And I said, well, what about if the waves are up? And I mean, like, can I get off if the surf's up? And she's like, no, you got to be there for floor duty. And I said, well, why don't I just buy breakfast? We'll call it a day, because this isn't going to work out.
So I love it, because you are, I think there's a lot of agents listening that probably will connect with what you're saying. Like that's the reason why they got into real estate. So how did you build your business? Like where did you find clients?
So prior to this, I grew up here. That helped a little bit, right? But I also in the 90s, I had this store, and it was called. So first of all, my background was, my dad's a contractor. I grinded there. I was in nursing right out of high school. I had a kid when I was 18. Got involved in nursing. I was very used to like a lot of work, right? So then I opened up this art gallery, and I knew nothing about art. Okay, nothing. Okay. I've always been one of those guys, do what you love and the rest happens, right? I'm a big, big believer of that, right? And that has risk attached to it too, So I opened this 8,000 square foot art gallery in the middle of Seagrove Beach, and it was crazy. But it was next door to the only liquor store, so I knew there was some hope, right? So everybody found the liquor store, so they find me. And I created this like juke joint, stuff hanging everywhere, surfboards and pictures and paintings. We started selling furnishings, and it became wildly successful. I mean, crazy. We were in Southern Living Magazine, Coastal Living Magazine. No idea what I was doing. Well, they sold the land out from underneath me. And I realized too, my buddies that were starting to get into real estate, they're doing, making $5,000 off of a transaction. And I was bringing an armoire up, 20 flights of stairs, making $200. So I started leaning and thinking more in that direction, and getting into it. I just knew when they sold it, I was just like, I'm all in, and I just went for it from there. And again, I had that same philosophy is like, it'll just work out. And it did, I mean, and so my clients, I guess I missed your question there. So my clients, a lot of them came from that art gallery that I had for 10 years. That's where it started. Yeah.
So let me ask a question about that, because this is something that I feel like whether it was the 90s or today, the same concepts will apply. Someone who's transitioning from another business, or they know people from other areas. How did you rebrand yourself in their mind that you're not the art gallery guy, you're Bobby J, the real estate guy now? Or how did that process go for you?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So, I forgot about part of that story. I had, during the last year, I had moved a Caldwell Banker office when we got traded out for that. I had built a Caldwell Banker into my 8,000 square foot art gallery there. So part of it was an easy transition into real estate. And my dad's a contractor. I grew up in it. I was flipping houses. I flipped my first house at 21 years old. So, real estate was always, I just spoke the language, and I was always passionate about it. I speak the language, and I knew the product. I knew the market,
I was just going to say, my guess was, and you just kind of supported that. My guess, which is your confidence, the way that you carry yourself, but also combined with the fact that you have really good product knowledge, like you know what you're talking about, and that comes with that sense of confidence. I don't think it was hard for your sphere and the people who knew you as the art gallery guy to then see you in a different context, because you're just that person that like, okay, you also know real estate, right?
Yeah. And, I never changed who I was, like I'm beyond, I wrote my first contract. There's been stories written about this in a wetsuit on the top of a Jeep. Seriously. I literally, the people were getting ready to leave town. I just got done surfing. This was back when we carried our contracts in a briefcase in your car. I don't know if you remember those days, right? We didn't do them electronically. I had to meet him, and I said, "Hey, I'm in. Just so you know, I'm in my Jeep, and I got my surfboard. I'm in my wetsuit, but I need you to sign it." So I just swung by and wrapped myself around the towel around my chest and wrote it right there. And that's when I knew that I was kind of onto something that that may have been bigger than me per se, because I literally was just, I've never switched from being me. That's all I know how to be. I always feel like if people don't want to work with me, and I'm sure there's plenty of people that don't, that doesn't really matter to me. I've built my fan base one person at a time. And it worked out, and I'm not everybody's agent, nor do I want to be.
Yeah. Did you have to develop that sense of self that like, you know what, I don't need to be for everyone. Or was that just naturally who you were? Because that's a really great skill to have.
I think it's, my wife always says, if you go to I have big calves because I'm on a lot of soapboxes. Basically, I've studied a lot of self-help, and I've really worked on myself a lot. And so I think that through that process, and I have great coaching, you and I know what we share, maybe, who are my coaches, and there's moments though, I can get feeling, there's a lot of young kids coming up in this business that, that are doing way bigger numbers than I am, and I try not to get too wrapped up in that. I try to just put my blinders on. And I'm always feeling if the grass is greener on the other side, it's time to, it's time to mow my own yard, and I kind of
never heard that. I love that.
Isn't that a good one though? Like, this is a business where we're constantly comparing ourselves to what other people are doing and all this stuff. And I see agents all the time. They're doing this on social media and they're trying to figure out what everybody else is doing. And I'm like, focus on yourself. Be a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday. And it'll grow, but it might not grow like this person's grew. It may take you 2 years. I know an agent that's a rock star that didn't sell a property for 3 years. Took her 3 years to get one under her belt. Took what it took. Huh. So for someone who gets bored, because it's funny. So Lenora put in the comments, she gets bored too. I think a lot of agents have that. You've done this for so long. How do you keep yourself engaged? Like, or is it just that you give yourself the freedom to go surf when you need to? The waves are up. Like, how does that work for you? I do know that I try to go on a surf trip every quarter. That's a big deal for me. I try to get out of town. There's no doubt about that. I was working with a new agent on a deal the other day, though I just thought of this, and he didn't know what he was doing, but his enthusiasm, I just wish, what happens in this business is, as we do it for a long time, our knowledge, we start here, we have no knowledge, but our enthusiasm's here, right? And then as we get the knowledge, our enthusiasm goes down. And I think a lot of it is because we're just getting so much thrown at us by this. Everyone wants a cut of our leads and all this stuff. So you've really got to develop. And this is what's kept me from getting burnout and I used to fight this, is having a good plan in place. So I know when I can get my windows to get away, and I know what I need to do in the morning to keep my head right. I do a lot of, you and I have spoke about it. I'm a big, surfer. I'm a big cold plunger. I do a lot of yoga. I take care of my mental health and my physical health. Like I as bad as I need water, I need that stuff in my life.
I love it. But by the way, I saw a guy named Jason Thorman jumped on here, who's with us live, and he might even be driving to the ocean to surf as we speak. Who knows? Another surfer agent. All right. So if anybody who's here live, by the way, if you guys have questions for Bobby, feel free to put them in the chat box or unmute yourself. But I've got one kind of bringing it back to today, the kind of do you do any conscious lead generation? Like, what do you do to get your clients today? Or is it just you've done it for so long, they just keep showing up? I mean, you do significant volume of business, sell 100 million last year. Where do all these clients come from?
I would say 70% of my business, maybe more, is referral repeat. And I have some fantastic systems in place to keep in touch with people and texting the right people. I keep in touch with what I call my raving fans. Those are a regular basis. Try to reach out to those people all the time that builds big spec houses and different things like that. And then I kind of have layers to all of that of not just an email blast, but I'm really adamant about making sure everyone, because I don't think we're in the real estate business. We're actually in the data collection business. And I'm really adamant about this stuff getting into the system so I can reach back to people. That's for referrals and repeats, right? But unfortunately, as I'm getting older, a lot of my people, think about it, I got in this a long time ago and I'm 55. Okay. So a lot of my good clients were 15, 10 years older than me when this all began. Now they're getting to the retirement age. So I am having to go back to the well and dig up new business. So I still get a lot of business off of social media, but I do social media. It's way different than what I used to do it. It's just who I just put my life out there, and I'm mixed in with a few pendings and sold, right? But then I also, obviously website. I have a Boomtown account, and people beat up all these Boomtown or KV Core or whatever they may be, right? It's all about, and what I've learned, it's all about getting the right people for your pay-per-clicks ads that know how to get you in the right place. So, and that took me probably 10 years to get the right group of people working for me to get the right leads. We work on, we call it backlinking. You've heard of backlinking, right?
Yep. I have, but in case people haven't, why don't you explain what you mean by
I work on negative linking. So I get people that are stuff I don't want to deal with, so I don't want to deal with, condos in Panama City Beach because I just don't know them. Right. I don't want to deal with. So I make sure that our website each month is cleaner on the backside of it. And backlinking, meaning how they link you to other sites, and they do this in the back end of it. Right. So if you're not careful, you'll get a lot of horrible leads. And what my team works on is getting rid of the horrible leads. So because I don't want a whole bunch of leads. I want good leads.
Big difference. Oh, I love that.
Huge difference.
So I want to dig into leads for a minute, then we'll go back to some of these systems you have for the, referral generation, because that's where, a lot of your business comes from. On these leads, do you have a different approach? So, because there are agents that definitely still generate leads from, various pay-per-click, Facebook ads, whatever it is. Do you have a different approach when these leads show up, or what is your approach?
I'm just a personable kind of person. I don't make it about the property right away. I try to recognize the area code. There's an old program we used to call Ninja Real Estate. I'm looking for about them. I'm looking to learn about, how many kids they have. I'm learning about what they do, what their passions are. The property for me is secondary. And I can tell you from my experience watching other agents do this, when they get a lead and they text them, Wait, would you like me to run over there and do a video of the home? Of course they want you to do that, right? But what happens is all the time I hear that, these leads are no good. But when I dip in and do a little thing and I show them, and they're getting better, they're great. My team is great at this. Okay. I'm just talking as a whole. When I had, my last real estate company with 100 agents, I always heard the leads are no good. The leads are no good. Well, I'm believing your conversion's no good. You got to get good at how to talk to people from a text, and somehow or another, how can you quit making it about the property? Make it about the relationship with them. Find a foothold to where, maybe you went to the same college. Maybe you grew up in the same town. Just look for something. There's always what do they call it? 8 degrees of separation. Somehow or another, if you can get a little bit of time with them, somehow they'll make a connection, and then you've got them.
Interesting. I've never heard anyone, and this might be the area that you're in, because a lot of people from out of the area, but when you say you look for the area code, what are you looking for when their area code? Are you referencing their area code when you reach out to them?
Where we, growing up here on 38, which is more of like a melting pot, and that's a big difference from maybe a lot of other people that might be on the call. No one lives here where I'm at, right? So it's again, it's growing. Don't get me wrong. Most of our buyers that are doing luxury do not live here. So if it's a 615, there's a Nashville, right? I have a daughter in Nashville. I've got a lot of friends in Nashville. Where do you live in Nashville? Oh my gosh, my daughter's close by to there. 205 is Birmingham. I've got great friends and clients in Birmingham. I go up to concerts in Birmingham. I'm just trying to, and here's the thing, I think what saved me, because I got in doing that before I knew it was a thing. That's just how I'm interested in that. So I learned when I was explaining this to somebody one time, they said, oh, that you're doing the ninja real estate. There's a course on that. I'm like, well, I didn't know there was a course. I just I was naturally curious about people. When they come down, I want to show them, have you guys ever been, on a paddleboard? Have you ever been fishing? Did you know it's not just the beach? We've got these amazing bays and all these waterways that are, just try to help them out that way and see the excitement in their eyes when I do that.
Do you take your clients and past clients, like, do you go out paddleboarding, right? Do you take them out fishing? Like, do you do all those sort of things?
I try to, I'll be honest with you though, over the years, I see a little bit less of that. I used to love that, and a lot of times people want a lakefront home so they can do all that. And then they don't, I'll bring paddleboards over to them. Let's go. It's just, how far away is the paddle to the beach? It's 5 minutes. I'll meet you Tuesday and I'll take you down there and show you. Oh, we got to, a lot of, it's maybe 1 in 20 that'll want to do something like that. Everybody's, I don't know. It's like, go, especially at that, that level, the upper level of real estate. My son said something one day, and shouldn't say this out loud because I should write a book off this, but who cares? So we were pulling out of the dock one day and with my boat where we got this little marina, right? And my son, he's like 12. He said, Dad, how come all the best boats never leave the dock? I was like, that is strong. And I said, buddy, they're just working. That's how they can afford that good boat, but they can't afford to use it.
You should write a book. That's good, man. You should write a book on that.
Why, Daddy, how come the best boats never leave the dock? And I just was like, whoa, that was a learning, teaching moment for me.
Especially with the industry we work in as realtors, which is, it's so interesting as you're describing this, because you've managed to create a very high level of success for someone also who's aware of still having the things that they love to do in life, if that makes sense.
That was the deal I made with myself, Jesse, when I got into it. I said, my life will be first. And I was very adamant about that because I had, I'd come from that construction. I'd come from working as a nurse, 8 to 8 underneath, and then the gallery, that was 7 days a week from 10 to 8 at night. And I got to get there early, and I was, trying to get my family, raised. And then when I got in this, the commitment I made to myself is that my life is first, and then I focus on my real estate. And that, fortunately, that's who I've attracted to get in my wheelhouse, So people that call me and work with me typically know that, they make jokes about it. Hey, it's a fun. I know you're surfing, aren't you? And you know what I mean? It's just become a thing, and I get away with it. I call it, I'm at a board meeting. Matter of fact, I think one of these things, it says that on my one of these pads here. It always says, yeah, here.
So, all right. So we got like 3 minutes. I just am so curious because I feel like so many agents would worry they're going to lose business because of that. And what you said, the clients that don't want to work with you, they won't. If they know that, if they're giving you a hard time that, oh, you're probably out surfing, do they work with you just because you have such knowledge and you're personable? They like you as a person. What do you think it is?
The number one thing that I think has helped me get away with it is I know my product. I feel I know the market as good, if not better, than anybody else in the entire market. And so knowledge is king, and with that, it also gives me freedom, because we also have to remember, our time is very valuable. And I am grateful for every client that I've ever had. And I sometimes, over my, career, I've lost sight of that at times. You have to go back to being thankful and grateful. But then I also have to remind myself at times too, that I bring value too, and I'm bringing value to people. I can tell people where not to buy. There's value there. I know where it floods here. Watch every hurricane that comes into the Gulf Coast. It's headed towards us. So I know where the rain goes. I know where the water flows. I know where not to build. One of the reasons 30A has always been so hot, we have a crazy elevation near the beach. We're 50 foot above sea level. A lot of people don't realize that in certain areas along 30A. But when we get hit by storms and a lot of rain, the water moves around. And having been here most of my life, I kind of know where not to go to. So you can say, we can mess people's lives up if we stick them in the wrong spot. So
your knowledge really is staggering, because you come off as such just a humble, easygoing server. But I think that combination of being authentic and genuine and easy to approach with really, really in-depth knowledge of your market and houses there, it's a great combination.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a fun journey, man.
Any last thoughts you want to leave people with before we wrap up? Anything we didn't cover? Do you have any little things you say to yourself on a regular basis?
So, gosh, I think the number one thing that we as salespeople and agents can always do is, this might come off wrong. Hopefully it doesn't, but I always remind myself to shut up. We have a tendency to, forget. We got to ask more questions. Ask questions and listen. They'll tell you the properties sell themselves. Just be authentic and be a guide and a mentor. The rest happens, and learn your inventory. He who knows the most wins. And look at me. I'm just, old, like you said, old surfer dude that just knows his product real well, and I'm approachable, and I know when to shut up, and I ask a lot of questions. People love to hear. They love when you let them do a lot of talk. People like to talk, so let them.
I love it. Bobby J, this is awesome. Truly, I appreciate you spending time here with us. I guarantee people here got a lot out of this. I just appreciate it. If people want to reach out to you and connect with you, what's the best way for someone to connect with you these days? So
probably just email Bobby J 30A. So that's Bobby J 30A@gmail.com. My website is, you helped me with that at one point, localrealestate.com. Yep. So, which was a pretty good score. And man, I got to get out there one day and go surf with you guys. Where's the closest wave to you right now?
Yeah, I'm in Encinitas, California. Jason Thorman is the other surfer I was calling out here. He's in Orange County. So we were down for a surf anytime, man.
I am so jelly. I literally, I will come out, seriously.
Yeah.
If y'all take me surfing somewhere, yeah. I'll put it on one of my quarter trips. And
let's do it.
I'd love to meet you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All
Have a great day, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.